Hello, this is Neil from mypaintgirls.com, and in this part of the how to draw clothes and stuff, or how to draw folds and clothes and stuff, we're going to draw some bootylicious jeans. And to do that, first I just want to talk about where the wrinkles will appear, or where the folds will appear. You might get a few folds up in here, a few in here, and these are going to be I'm going to call them stretch folds. And there's two different kinds of stretch folds. I can represent them as lines, and sometimes that's how they are. And the ones that represent as lines means that the cloth is being pulled over itself. So from the side view, the cloth would look like that. So the cloth is being pulled over. So what you're seeing here, and it'll be a little bit of shadow like that, is one piece of cloth is being folded over there. So if I would show you that from the side, it would be like this. So that piece of cloth is coming over that like that, and so you'll see a little bit of shadow right there. Okay, so that's how that would work. You also get the S pattern sometimes. It's kind of a similar thing, but if you're viewing it from here, then it just looks like cloth coming over, and then if you're viewing it from straight on, then that fold would just look like like that. It would just look like a line. So you just draw it with a line. So that's one type of thing we might get. So you can draw those with lines, and then you can also have the ones that are, dang, I just erased that. I actually went back too far. Get the ones that are more tubular, so they kind of come around off like that, and so be shade on both sides, and then that's you wouldn't color in that part there when you're doing the shading. You get some scrunching here and here behind the knees. You always get scrunching in the knee area, and then you might get a few tugs from down there, and then maybe a few across on the mid part of the leg. Alright, now the why. The why this happens is because you have cloth here that pulls up on the ankle, and it pushes the cloth up like that, and that causes it to start scrunching here. Also, the calf kind of pushes the cloth up. Then you have this pulling the cloth tight, but then gravity pulls all the cloth here down, and so you have the cloth coming down and the cloth coming up, and that causes scrunching in this area. And the reason why here is that this is pulling this way, the leg is pulling the cloth that way, and so you might get shear lines across, and same thing with the legs being twisted or pulling the cloth. You get some, I'm not calling them shear, I should properly call them stretch folds. And you might get a few under the butt there and a few across the leg here. And the reason why is because of the way that the legs are pulling on the cloth and causing it to kind of overlap each other, because they're this would happen in more tighter jeans, not in so much in loose fitting jeans. So more like where it's really tight around her thighs, so the thighs are pulling on both ways on the cloth, causing that to happen. Okay, really quick too before we get started on the pants is remember that some of the folds associated with scrunching is the kind of triangle. Then you have different hooks, and you can have lines associated with those hooks. You can have the kind of S patterns where you'd have one hook there and one hook there, and it would cause the ultimate pattern between it, like so. And you have so you have that kind of S bunching, and the different these pulls like that, and then with the you can have the different hooks inside, another hook coming off like that. Okay, so those are the kind of wrinkles associated with scrunching. Let's go and get started then. The first thing I'm going to do is draw this part up here, and since we're going to be kind of looking up at her a little bit, I want to first pull, or I want to show it's coming up like that, kind of dip just a little bit like that, and then come over here. Notice I'm coming outside of her skin area in both cases. I want this to be pulled really tight to her skin, so it's going to be kind of almost like their pants are a little too big for her, which is going to cause the skin to kind of fold out like that with the pants. And then I'm going to pull a thin line across like that, really light on the pen I'm using, my pen tool. You might see another one right over here, or not you might, you will see another one right over here, because remember we're kind of looking at the sides, so we're actually going to be able to see the seam, which is usually really close to that loop, and so the seam is going to kind of come down, and then we're only going to see part of the seam actually. We'll probably see the seam kind of disappear off over there, so something like that. Make it really thin. So, And if there are any wrinkles, you can break the seam up. So let's say we had some shear marks here, or not, I don't know why I keep saying that. Stretch folds here and here, right? So then I want to break up this seam a little bit and show that the shear marks are causing the seam to break up. Not the shear marks, the stretch folds. So, like so. All this is pulled pretty tight. We might see a little bit of the pocket, because the pocket usually comes all the way over like that to that seam. Remember, you have the middle seam that comes all the way around and tucks underneath and comes around to the crotch, so it'll disappear within that part of the pant. That's going to actually come stretch down. This is a little bit like that. I'm going to have that seam disappear and there, and then you have those two seams here. Connects with the bottom part of that, and it comes all the way to this seam here, like so. Then we got the pockets, and so this pocket's going to be really big. Let's see, we'll go to here. You can even draw the little things if you want to, little divots, and then we want to really show that that pocket was being stretched very wide to show the bootyliciousness of her butt. This pocket is going to be coming out, and it has to be flush with that. And then you want to show it curving, again due to the bootyliciousness. That's so funny. And then you'll have a wrinkle here. You'll probably have a stretch fold here, and maybe a hook one right there, just really tiny hook one like right beneath that one. Let's go ahead and bring this down. You might be able to see a little bit of the seam because you're seeing a little bit of the inside of the leg there. That seam would come down like that. You want to break it up with any wrinkles. I'm going to pull this down just a little bit, and then I'm going to have a slight, I'm going to use a smaller brush, the size 3, since this drawing is kind of small. One thing I don't want to do, even if it happens in real life, is pulling it all the way across and cutting the leg in half. So be sure to cut short of, when you do those kinds of wrinkles. I'm going to have 2 of them with a little bit of shadow between them. Just cut them short, that way you don't cut off the leg, like you don't want to cut the leg in half. And then here you might have this kind of like that, and then the wrinkle comes here, and it might come up like that. And those wrinkles are cool and pretty common. And they might have a little wrinkles in there. Remember, this is where you got a lot of bunching up, so this is where you can get really crazy with the different types of wrinkles that show up. I like to just kind of add a little bit of shading so I remember, what part was the what part's supposed to be the white part and what part's not supposed to be white. So I know like where the cloth is being pulled out. And also it'll help when you're going to add your final your final I'll get it in a second. My brain's just went out on me. Colors. You add the shades with your colors. Right now, as I come with this seam, I'll kind of want to break it up. Come over here, and then I might just draw a line now for the seam. And then it's going to be broken up here a little bit by that, so it's going to appear more on this side. I might just see a little bit of it as it comes down there, like that. And so we're starting to see. So that really looks like it, pulled out the way I wanted it to. And let's go ahead and add the final size here. Might add just a little. Having these be opposite, but one a little higher than the other will help. And if you have 2 on this side, maybe just have 1 in the middle. Like, don't have where it equals here and here. That just looks weird. So you might want to, offset it a little bit if you're going to do these types of wrinkles on both sides. And then I might have little, like one kind of coming here like that, showing that it's really pulled tight. One little wrinkle there. Maybe that kind of shape in here. Let's see. calf might pull a little bit where it's going to come down because of the calf. So I'll have one like that, and maybe, and then the pants are going to kind of come and flare off over here, and then you might be able to see a little bit of that thing. Also, the pants should have flared off over there as well. And you kind of see that. You probably won't be able to see the seam anywhere on this side, but you might be able to see it reoccur over here a little bit. Probably not, so I'll just leave it like that. Can make this side thicker, and there we go. So there's some bootylicious pants. And so you can see I covered with, where the wrinkles are going to be, the type of wrinkles, and where they'll be, and why they'd be there. And so there you go. So you can, you don't have to make it this dramatic here. You can really make these really small. This is more like gangster style. You can really exaggerate it too and get more gangster with it. You can also not exaggerate as much. It just depends on your style, that you're doing your comic or realism, whatever. I kind of went a little bit too realistic with some of the folds in there for a comic-y look. I probably wouldn't do that many actually for a comic, but that's the kind of folds that you'll find, when it's scrunched up really bad. Okay, so in the next video we'll do something else, continuing with these different folds.